Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our presentation for our budget hearing this evening. With me tonight is our business manager, Audrey Varney, and she and I will be reviewing where we are as a state of the district. On my screen, you will see that this is where it all begins. While this is virtual, there will be opportunities for comment through a thought exchange and through an email address. So please stay tuned during the presentation and have things ready in case there needs to be follow-up. We're more than happy to do so with you. We will also be having virtual town halls on the budget. So if there's other questions that you want to pose to us, you just need to fill out a form and do that. Each year in January, I present on the state of the district. We usually present all the programs that have either been added or changed, and we review everything with our Board of Education, whomever comes. This year, it feels like the state of the district has changed so much since that January date, and that's really what we wanted to review with you a little bit this evening. Every time we do a state of the district, we always start with our enrollment trends, and really our enrollment has stayed pretty consistent in the district. This year's enrollment as of October 2019 is 2,921. I will let you know that in my time, this is a little bit lower than normal. Usually we're just over 3,000 students. Other important factors on this page, we continue to maintain 108 students in our UPK program. Our school age disability is about 14%. Our economically disadvantaged at 1,051 or 36% continues to be where we see growth. Right now we're at 36% for the district. Some schools are significantly higher than that. And we know during these times that number has risen as well. Another important data point on this page is our homeless student status. It is at 78%. And this is the numbers that I was just reviewing with you for everyone to see. As I said, we will be doing a thought exchange where you can post comments or questions on the budget, and we'll be doing a frequently asked question page on this. We will make sure to post this on our website several times so people have the opportunity to do that, and we'll always answer any question that's on there. The most important part of this opening piece is buildings may be closed, but school is open. We have served over 16,000 meals since March to over 400 students. We will continue to serve meals throughout the end of the school year and through our closure in the summer. We continue to work with our local BOCES on childcare for our essential employees. And obviously the most important one, our continuity of learning. Our teachers, administrators, staff members are working hard each day to make connections with our students. And in our continuity of learning plan, that's really the most important part. How can we connect with families and parents and students on a regular basis to ensure that learning is taking place in this new world? We continue to maintain 3 district themes. Every student should feel safe in our schools. They should feel safe around the room. They should feel safe in the building, but they should also feel safe enough where if there's problems and things that they need help with, they are communicating with our staff members. Mental health struggles affect many of our students, and we need to understand the effects and support all of our students in need. This continues to be something that we need to work through, especially in these times when we know our students and families are going through highs and lows, sometimes daily. Students should be engaged in their learning, and we must provide our students with a variety of opportunities for the changing world. I believe because we've had this theme for a few years now, and we've thought with our teachers about what it looks like to be future ready, we have been able to maintain the work much quicker in the world of this virtual learning that we're doing right now. So let's start with every student should feel safe in our schools and really talk about what is proposed in the budget for 2020-21 related to this. As you all may have noticed, throughout the district, our footprint has continued to grow. We've added some space in some of our buildings, which means that we have new systems in place, and it has been important to make sure these systems are maintained. By adding that maintenance mechanic too, we can assure ourselves that we have the right staff members on board to take care of our buildings in all areas. We will continue to look at the footprint of each building to continue to update those security needs. And really the fourth bullet on here is the most important one. How will we reopen safely for our students, our staff, our family? As a superintendent, I'm not sure I would have talked about PPE in any of our presentations before. But how do we have personal protective equipment? What does that look like? How can we make sure that we have the right thermometers if we need to do checks? How can we make sure we have the right masks? How can we make sure our places are safe for our students? These are all things we're working on, and we wanted to make sure we had money reserved in the budget specifically for them. Mental health struggles. Last year, we did a thought exchange on this, and the number one thought was the district should be providing dedicated social workers and psychologists for each building. As of today, we have social workers, kindergarten through 8th grade. We were able to reallocate elementary teachers last year into new social worker positions so that way each elementary school had that. At the high school, we feel the need is there as well, and we would like to reallocate one of our retirement positions to become a high school social worker. We have a sensory room right now at Monroe Elementary that gets used mainly from all students in regards to transitions. Do they have a hard time transitioning into school, out of school, throughout the day? We'd like to add a sensory room in each of our elementary schools, and we'll be doing that slowly over the course of the next few years. Open circle work is really important because it helps our elementary teachers work with students on the mental health curriculum that is required by New York State. It is a program that many of our teachers have been trained on this year, and we continue to want to train them on that next year. It really spends a lot of time talking about student feelings. How are they dealing with things? What are they doing? We want to make sure that not only is this a pilot year for it, but that we're continuing to grow that so all students are able to go through this program in the future. Students should be engaged in their learning, and we must provide our students with a variety of opportunities for the changing world. What is proposed in the budget for 2020-21? We want to continue to grow and expand the opportunities for our elementary students. We will be doing that through special areas in STEM at all of our elementary buildings next year. We will be saving 3 positions and reallocating a literacy coach to this, so that way we have this opportunity for our students. Each elementary school will also grow by 20 minutes per day in order to get these opportunities in place. Unfortunately, we closed school in March, and our drama club productions at the middle school and high school are in full gear. While we have postponed them, we know that they did not collect any money on ticket sales. We want to be able to keep these things growing in the future, so we do have to provide a little bit of money to make sure that happens for our students next year. Staff to student ratios are reviewed yearly, and staff is increased or decreased based on these needs. We know our needs continue to grow, but we want to make sure we're staffing in the correct places. Last year, in our budget, we budgeted for 511 full-time employees. Currently, we're at 508. We did have a reduction of 3 based on student needs in the aid department. But what I like most about this slide is really not about the number of positions. It's about how essential all of these titles really are for the running of our district. Yep, we have 232 teachers. We have 50 part-time aides. We have 37 full-time aides. We have 24 custodians and cleaners, 15 secretaries and typists, 7 guidance counselors, 6 speech teachers, 5 account clerks, 4 psychologists, 7 social workers, 2 occupational therapists, a physical therapist, and the list goes on. We want to make sure we're providing enough support in each category to keep our district running consistently. The district must be focused on providing the best possible student opportunities while being sensitive to spending, taxes, and fiscal stability. In working with the Board of Education, these are our fundamentals for critical decision-making. We want to preserve quality programs and services for students, and we want to do this through innovative practices. We want to make sure we're ensuring financial sustainability for future years. And what that really means is we don't want to add something that we quickly would have to take away because we don't have the finances for it. We want to keep improving efficiency and effectiveness while lowering costs, and we want to be mindful of the impact on our taxpayers. I'm going to ask Ms. Varney to do the next several slides on what the budget is by the numbers for us for 2020-21. Thanks, Audrey.
Thank you. This slide shows the historical expenditures for about the last 10 years. And you can see in red that we had several years where the budget to budget increase was actually a decrease. Over the course of the years, we've been very consistent, and our average year to year budget increase is less than 2%. This illustrates our historical expenses for the past 5 years. And you can see the general support column, which is the structure of the district. It includes the superintendent, assistant superintendent, business office, finance, operations and maintenance, anything to do with the operation of the buildings. Instruction is all our teachers, our aides, any instructional supplies, equipment that we have to teach our students. Transportation, it's our bus garage and everything associated with it. Employee benefits is our health insurance, dental insurance, workers' comp, disability. It also includes contributions to both retirement systems for all our staff. Debt service is our expenses on our bus purchases. Every year we purchase a number of buses and we pay for those over 5 years. And this is the principal and interest payments that are due on those past purchases. Interfund transfer has 2 components. The smaller component is to school lunch. School lunch, we transfer a subsidy because they cannot have a deficit in their fund. So the general fund does support them slightly. The biggest expenditure are the mortgage payments, the principal and the interest on any previous capital projects 15 or 20 years ago, up until the current project that will be complete in summer 2021. We're very proud of this slide. This illustrates the per pupil expenditure compared to other schools in New York State. On the left is South Glens Falls for the 3 years that are illustrated. In the center are similar schools, similar to size of South Glens Falls. And on the right is the entire state of New York. And you can see we're well below both the similar schools and the state of New York. This part of the budget was the most difficult this year. When the governor came out in January with his proposal for state aid for schools, our district actually saw a little bit of an increase. We always like to see more, but we were happy with that increase. Then in March, with the COVID virus, the governor came out again and froze all state aid to the foundation levels of 19 and 20. So there would be no increase in this school year. In addition to that, there were rumblings that the revenue was not as anticipated and that we could see additional cuts of up to 20%. Christine and I took the middle road and decided to budget for a possible reduction of 10% with state aid, which is over 3.5% reduction from last year.
A lot of ringing behind you, Audrey.
I know there's something
serious is going on right now.
We're also very proud of this slide. Since the inception of the property tax cap, South Glens Falls has stayed well below the cap. Our 9-year average of property tax increase has been 2.81. In maroon, you can see what the max caps were for each of the years. This year, the cap was 3.56%, and our board approved a tax cap levy of an increase of 2.99. Our tax rates are finalized in August, along with the assessment rolls and equalization rates. They vary town to town because of the difference in the equalization rates, which is set by the state and finalized in August. You can see in 2015 and 16 that the tax rates were identical for all 3 towns. But because of the differences in the sale factor of the properties that have been sold in Moreau, Northumberland, and Wilton, there is a difference in the tax rates. To support the spending plan that we've proposed, these are the revenues that we will be utilizing. We have local revenues of just over $1 million, which is comprised of any miscellaneous revenue, including interest income, sales of surplus supplies or items, anything to do with a rental of the building is local revenues. We have interfund transfer from we have 7 funds, and we had some funds in another fund that we could move into the general fund to help support the budget for next year. New York State aid is the decrease that we had shown from the previous year that we talked about previously at $24 million. Federal aid is the Medicaid support that we receive for some of our students. The tax levy is the 2.99% increase and is just over $32 million. And fund balance is higher than what we normally use to balance our budget. But we think with the savings with having the buildings being closed, not being heated, being lit, the water not being used, no fuel on the buses, that we should be able to take those savings and move them into next year's budget to apply to offset some of that loss of revenue. District reserve funds are our savings accounts. The 2 in red are reserve accounts that we can't just use indiscriminately. They have to be used for a purpose, and the capital reserve that requires voter approval to use any of the money in a capital fund. The tax cert reserve is actually money set aside and supported by documentation that we have large taxpayers that may have challenged their assessments and may be owed a large amount of a tax refund for a period of years. The other funds are used for their specific purposes: workers' comp, unemployment, employees and teachers' retirement, and employee benefit reserve. We use those funds to smooth out any spikes or valleys in the expenditures on a yearly basis to keep them more consistent.
Thanks, Audrey. A solid vision for students, staff, and fiscal wellness is important to keep the district moving forward. And that's really what we want to do every year when we provide a budget. So what are you voting on? Part 1 is budget proposition. Do you agree to the 2.59% increase with a tax levy of 2.99%? Proposition 2 has a no tax impact. We are trying to purchase 6 new buses, 72 of the 72, which is the larger bus, 2 of the 66, and 2 30-passenger buses. And part 3, we have a Board of Election votes for 3 open seats, and we have 3 people running, and they're all current board members. Dr. Christine Dawson, Mr. William Elder, and Mrs. Lisa Hogan will all be running for election this year. Tonight is our budget hearing. That's what you're hearing right now. We have been doing virtual budget presentations. So as you talk with other people, there is a form online that you can go and sign up. We have one tomorrow at 4, one June 2nd, one June 3rd. And if we hear from others, we will add them in. And our vote is June 9th. And as all of you are aware, it's completely through absentee ballot. You will receive these absentee ballot in the mail, and they have to return to our office by 5 p.m. on June 9th. They can be returned by mail or they can be dropped off. And normally that last slide would be more towards the end of this in a real presentation with question and answers. But as Audrey and I were putting this together, we also think in this very changing world and a very different way to voting, we needed to be prepared for all possibilities. And obviously one of the possibilities would happen is, what if the vote is not successful? We will be sending out 14,273 ballots in our mail this week. That has the opportunity for all things to happen in our district. Many times we get about 1,000 to 1,600 voters in, and when we stay under the tax cap, we usually have a passing budget. With all the changes this year, we want to make sure we're prepared for anything. 2 things can happen if we have a not successful budget. The first one is we could relook at our budget and have a revote. Quite honestly, with our ballots coming in not until June 9th and that vote being so late, We are worried about the timing of having a revote. So we have to look at what a contingency budget is. And basically in a contingency budget, we go to a 0% tax levy increase, which would mean we would be at $929,000 loss. I'm going to ask Mrs. Varney to get back on the screen to talk about exactly what goes into creating a contingency budget.
Sure. The very first thing is, just as Christine said, the tax levy would have to remain at the 2019-20 levels. The second would be that the administrative cap would have to remain at or under the level of 2019-20, which is just about 8%, and we meet that very easily. The third is any use of school buildings by outside groups or community organizations would have to be eliminated unless they actually pay to cover the cost of any of those types of usage. So that would consider our Girl Scouts, our Boy Scouts, and the athletic groups would not be able to use the facilities without a charge. The other items have to come out automatically. Any capital construction has to come out. Would be our year 2 of our window hardening and window film plan for the safety for the buildings. The second would be any type of equipment that would be purchased. Would it be kitchen equipment, instructional equipment, athletic equipment, operations and maintenance equipment would have to come out of the budget. With a small difference is that the computer hardware aid that is aided from the state, we would still be able to spend that money, which is a little less than $50,000, which is still far less than what we spend on keeping our technology up to date. Any student supplies that are considered consumable would have to be eliminated from the budget. Any school bus purchases, any new multi-year school bus, building leases, contractual arrangements would have to be eliminated from the budget. Any rental of office equipment, which would include any of the printers, multifunction machines, copiers, fax machines, would have to be eliminated. And also any salary increases for employees not covered by a collective bargaining agreement.
So when we think about all of these things, we always make sure to know, we want people to know how things are and reductions are prioritized. And really in red is how we prioritized them this year. And in blue would be if we had to go any deeper in the budget in the future. We would obviously remove all the items Audrey talked about, the equipment, the salary increases, et cetera. And then we would look at any extras that would not affect program in a large school way. And some of these things include the field trip money that we put in over time, or athletic uniforms, our drama club subsidy, and all of that. And then we would go to staffing. We've absolutely made a commitment that at this time we will not cut any social emotional supports for our students that we had in 2019-20. We cannot, just because our social workers were the last ones there, we cannot have them to be the first ones to be cut. Our students need those mental health supports now more than ever. So where would we start? We'd start from loss from attrition. Our current open positions that have been left because of retirements or resignations would be the areas we'd have to look at. Sure, this might affect some programs in a slight way, but it would not affect current employees. Once we did that, if we had to go deeper, we'd look at our enrollment numbers in all of our sections, see if we can reduce any coursework from that. And then we would also work any administrators and department heads and look and see if any other support staff positions would be there. Programs will be final area cuts, and it only happens at the last resort. So I always worry when we talk about this, there will be some assumptions that are made. And for us right now, we are only losing staff from attrition and trying not to look at whole program cuts. But here's our list of reductions. Maintenance mechanic 2 that we know we need, that would have to go. Our social worker at the high school, unfortunately, we would lose that. Some of our work with open circle training, we'd have to reduce that. The arts and supplies, the field trips, some of our music equipment and repair, we'd have to lose some of that. Our summer school program, which I know our students need, that consistency on a regular basis, we'd have to lose some of that. And then here's a list of our current open positions. We have a music teacher, a PE teacher, an elementary teacher, a secretary, a tech position, and assistant director of special education. However, with all of that said, we need in South Glens Falls to make a commitment to preserving programs. As I mentioned, we have to continue with that social emotional support. UPK programs, the 108 students, we need to keep them here every year. We're going to keep our class sizes to our contractual guidelines no matter what. We're going to make sure our music ensembles are available 4th through 12th grade. Our foreign language programs need to stay. Our AP, our honors, our early college career academy courses, we need to still be able to offer them. At the same time, we need to still be able to offer our CTE programs and our PT Tech program. We need to keep our K-12 special ed program alive in the same format it is for our students with needs. We need to support our English language learners. We need to provide academic intervention supports, even alternative education services to our district. We need to make sure we have adequate professional development that will allow our key initiatives to continue. And finally, we need to make sure we're continuing in the area of technology support for our students. We are able 5th through 12th grade to pass B 1-to-1 through all of this. And we've sent out over 400 different pieces of equipment to our students. And we need to make sure that that is still available for our students in the future. So this is what we've been doing in our budget vote process. Each of you should have received a postcard mailing about all of this information. We waited for a state update from our governor's office on May 15th and did get notice that we were in our second look back period. The board did adopt this budget on May 18th. Tonight, we're having our budget hearing. Our anticipated ballot mailing will be happening this week. And you will also be receiving a 4-page budget newsletter mailing to each home in South Glens Falls. We want to constantly communicate this. You will be receiving a 1-page budget newsletter. You'll be able to download it online, and our families in the community will be getting an email on this. We will have a budget newsletter that's coming to all of you. We will be doing a few frequently asked questions. We will continue those virtual budget town halls. And then obviously, Ms. Varney is available to answer any questions that you may have had in listening this evening. Our vote, once again, is June 9th. Ballots must be returned by 5 p.m. on that day. We will be recommending that you get them in the mail as early as June 5th so that they can be returned on a time. And again, here are any other thoughts and questions. Because this evening is virtual and we cannot have the interaction, it's not something that we really like to do, but we wanted to make sure to have this budget hearing for all of you tonight. So I encourage you to go to this thought exchange. Any immediate questions can also be to the person in my office, Ms. Barbara Pease, and that's her email below. And she will share them with me and we'll be able to get them out as a large scale document. Again, if you would like to participate in a virtual town hall, there would be interaction in those, and those are available as early as tomorrow. Just check our website for them. Finally, to all of you, to our community members who may have had students graduate a long time ago and are still here, to our community members who have family that go to our district in the pre-K to 12th grade program, to our families that have employees that work here for us, to our grandparents out there that have our children and are around us all the time and they're seeing the things that we're doing. We want to thank all of you. Thank you for investing in our students. I know that word investing goes against that fiscal piece to the budget. And sure, that is one meeting for that. Thank you in that investment. However, for us, that word investing means so many things. It means how you participate in our HSAs. It means how you come and support our students at the plays and at the sporting events. It means all the things that we were used to doing and in the future we're going to still provide for our students and families. We will be back to schools. We will be performing again. We will be on the athletic fields again. We will be sharing important events with you. We have to take our time and open correctly, but they will all be there. So thank you for investing in our students every day. With that, Ms. Varney and I will end the presentation this evening. We thank you for listening. At this point, we will be turning off the recording and stopping the live stream. Have a great night. Enjoy this nice weather that's out there. And thank you for taking time with us tonight. Take care.
Night.